Hey guys, it's Sunday. You can see it's nice and sunny, and the problem is it's very cold out. It's like 32 right now, 33 I guess. But this morning it was 17, and overnight it was 11. So the battery that I have inside this backhoe here isn't that great. I've been wanting to buy another battery, I just haven't done it. So I'm charging that battery this morning, and then I'm gonna, or actually it's after lunch. I just ate lunch, so let's see if I can't do a little cutting. That thing only take about an hour to charge. So the other day, last week I cut this wood here, and at the moment I don't have anywhere else to put it, and I'm leaving it out here. And somebody had says to me that the wood is probably gonna get moldy because it's sitting outside. And in most cases, when the temperature is a little warmer and you leave lumber sit out, it does get molding fairly quickly. But what I want to show you here is this is frost on here, okay? And when you have frost, yeah, I can't even get these apart. When you have frost, you don't get that black mold coming in. Now, because there's frost on there, this means there's water vapor there, and there is, because these boards weren't dried yet. But the thing is the water vapor that freezes doesn't turn to mold until the temperature gets warmer. And that's why they ought to be stickered when the temperature warms up. But I'm just saying that it has been cold here at nighttime, almost freezing or slightly less than freezing mostly all week. During the day it goes into the 40s, but that's not enough. As you can see on there, that's all frost. I mean, it's not enough to make it start to get mold all over it. Now, you know, in some of the cracks and stuff, you know, it might be a little iffy. You might get a little something in there. But just to answer the question, and I had told them that it was cold here, so I didn't have to worry about that. You can see how this one here has a lot of frost on it. So really there's nothing to worry about here at the moment with these boards getting too bad. Now, with the moisture in them, if it freezes really bad and it, you know, it starts to split the wood, well, there's not a lot I can do about that. But at the moment, everything here is nice and white looking, so I'm not going to worry about stacking it anywhere. But let me just tell you that it is definitely my high opinion that when you have boards that you just cut, especially in the spring and summer when it's warmer, if your temperatures are getting up into the 70s, they should be stickered right away. Don't wait, not even a couple of hours, because actually a couple of hours in hot sun, now yeah, I got the sunshine, and then it'll frost, or it'll evaporate some of the stuff, you know, freeze drying it, but it's not warm. It's cold. It's actually freezing. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I'm letting it sit and I'm not worrying about it at the moment. Now that doesn't mean that I don't think about it. It just means I'm not worrying about it. So in a couple minutes when the backhoe's charged up, I want to get another log over here and we'll start to do some cutting. But anyway, my main point here is when you cut boards, you should be stickering them as soon as you take them off your mill. You know, don't be putting them just anywhere. Sticker them right away, and don't think you can put them inside and stack them all together and they won't rot, because they will. They'll get black. It doesn't matter where you put them. If you put them in a barn somewhere without stickers, they will rot. It's just a matter of time. Okay, so if you dry it and you stack it in the garage or barn or wherever, you have good chances of having wood for many, many years. So anyway, that's my answer to that comment. get them stickered as fast as you can. But like I say, I'm in the winter, and I'm buying this time because I have, the kiln. My kiln is full, and I have nowhere to put the wood at the moment because I want to plane that wood. Just to give you an idea of, like I say about the cold, I know some people don't believe that it can be this cold here in Pennsylvania because just south of us it's not as cold, but it's cold here. So you can see the ice in the bucket there. It's frozen pretty good. Now it's because the sun's shining on it, it seems like it's a little less frozen, like on this one edge here. The wood carries heat, and so does the metal get a little warm, but it's still frozen. And then in this bucket here, you see there's a big lump of ice in there. And like I say, it looks like it's thawing, and the heat hitting the metal and all is where that water's coming from, but it's still frosty. Alright, so we want to pick something here that we want to cut. Looking at that, actually here's a nice one right here. That's looks like it's, I'm not sure what that is. It might be well, I'm not even going to say what it is or what I'm thinking. I think what I'll do is just get it onto the sawmill and start to cut it. Looks like it's got a hard cut on that end. I'll show it to you here. It's not a very big log. That one right there. Right here. It has a couple of knots and stuff on it, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get some really great wood out of it. This one on the top here looks like a really nice one too. See, I don't want to really cut any of the bigger logs until I have a place to put them. This one at the end here, this is a white oak. This is going to be a nice log here. This one right here, this white oak, it's about 12 foot long. I'm going to get some nice boards out of that. Now white oak is good for trailer beds. You can use it for making furniture. It's very heavy though. You end up with a pretty heavy piece of furniture when you make it. So we're going to wait a little longer for the backhoe, and then I'll get some of them down there and we'll cut. Whew. Hey YouTube. So while I'm waiting for the backhoe, my nose is running here because it's so cold out. I put this black sweater on because of the sleeves with the sawmill. But anyway, I wanted to talk about something. You know, when I started raising kids, I didn't take any of their nonsense. I raised the kids to do what was right, and when they didn't do what was right, they got disciplined, depending upon what it was that they didn't do. And naturally, when you have a family that, disciplines more than maybe some other family, and I know that just because of the friends I had. I had some friends that their parents didn't seem to care whether they came in late or not. And my parents, I had to be in, as long as I was living in their house, I had to be in at 10 o'clock. That was the latest I could be out, no matter what age I was, on any day of the week, weekdays or weekends. But what I'm getting at here is we have become too soft, and in becoming soft with the grandkids and stuff, and some people who know me will say I never became soft, and maybe I didn't, but I'm just going to say this anyway. I see people have become very lenient with their kids, and trying to include a kid in on a real important conversation depending upon their age, in my mind, is freaking ridiculous. Last night I was going through YouTube and some page came up where it was apparently a television show, and if this freaking kid, like maybe 16 years old, was talking to his parents, and the parents are made to look like idiots in the videos and on television, and really that's a far cry from all the parents that I know. However, there are parents who try to they want to give their kids so much, or thinking that the things they give them are helping them, which they're not actually. Only some, some little things, like, if you're feeding your kids good, if you're giving them new iPhones every time they come out, I don't think that's so good. But anyway, what I'm getting at here is that we are being too naive and too gentle with the kids. So when you have a time like this, they have this coronavirus, or I think it's coronavirus. This virus is going around, people are getting it and people are dying. Now, there's not a lot of deaths, but there's enough deaths to scare the crap out of you. I mean, it's, Sally and I both have diabetes, so we're kind of number one on the hit list. So we don't want anybody bothering us. We want to be left alone, and if we have to go to the store, we won't bother anybody that's there either. But, I live pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and there's a couple people around here, there's no doubt about that. But for crying out loud, I've seen more people since they've put this stay-at-home thing into place driving around here than I do when, it's a regular weekday. And I don't know if, keeping people home from work is a good idea. I mean, all you're doing is making life worse for people. If people are barely making it now, how does keeping them home help them? If they can't work and get a paycheck. Now, I don't know how the companies are handling that, whether they're handing out paychecks or not. But the point is that people, you can see it the way they treat their kids. And what's worse about it is, you think to yourself, okay, well, maybe they're doing that for some reason. But now, when you see the people themselves, I got 50-year-old people, 60 years old, driving up here wanting to have a conversation. Not interested in a conversation during this time of the year, because I'm going to tell you something, or not just this time of the year, but with this virus that's going around. Even though there's nothing at the moment in the county where I'm at, which is a good thing, I suppose, it doesn't mean that it can't be brought here. And the problem with, when I was a builder over in the Poconos of Pennsylvania, lots and lots of people from New York and Pennsylvania, or Philadelphia, I built houses for. I mean, lots of them. Very few people that were, regular residents. So these people come up to the Poconos, they came, lots of them, and right now that whole area over there is polluted with this virus. Now this area here, because it's a good haul from Philadelphia to here, probably about 5 hours, you don't get quite as many people coming. But that doesn't mean you don't get any. Because the one that owns property next to me this direction, and I never met them, but I know through the grapevine, you know how that is. Some guy from down off the mountain I was talking to about a month ago was telling me they're from New Jersey. Now I know that they're up here this weekend, and I have no complaints with that. I don't care where they go. But all I'm saying is, if people from Philadelphia and the spots in New Jersey have this virus, why would they want to drive, 500 miles or whatever, 300 miles for the weekend? Oh yeah, there's no virus up there, so let's go up there. That doesn't mean they're not bringing it with them. So, I see that they sit outside the chain and blow their freaking horn or whatever, as if you're supposed to, come out and, welcome them for the weekend. I'm just saying, people become idiots. when I was a kid, when your parents said to you, stay in the house because there's, like we had the freaking mumps, we had the chicken pox, we had all kinds of nonsense. You know, the idea was to stay home, stay in the house, don't go out, get better. And people were more situated for that. They seemed to understand it, and it wasn't like it is today. You know, they would call anybody sick there or whatever during the winter. If they are, we're not coming. If there's nobody sick and we're not sick, we'll come and see you, which is fine. But why is it that these people who are older and know and should know better don't seem to know any better? I don't get this at all. I really don't. I don't understand it. They're like idiots. You know, people should be staying in their homes or, on their property and not driving all over the freaking countryside. You can't tell me that somebody who drives here from New Jersey doesn't have to stop for gas or doesn't have to stop to get something to eat. And those are where the problems start when when you gather people together. So you could be in New Jersey at the moment and say, well, I'm not sick, so I'm going up to the mountains in Pennsylvania. And by the time you get here, after stopping for breakfast, stopping for lunch, and then stopping for gas, now you have it. You don't even know you have it. But yet we're supposed to believe that when you say, well, I don't have it. Well, if you don't have enough brains to stay home when this virus is going around, then how am I supposed to believe that when you tell me I don't have it? So, this is not a big deal for us. I mean, Sally and I usually don't get these problems, viruses that go around in town and stuff because we stay home. But it doesn't mean that it's not possible that you can get something from somebody. I mean, if somebody comes here and leaves a package, we don't know if they sneezed on the package or coughed on the package. Not that they would do it intentionally, just the fact that it happened. How are we supposed to know? So those are things that just confuse me when it comes to the older people in America here who have gone from being smart to being kind of haphazard. So I'm just saying, the best thing you can do is if you're living in an area like I am and there's a lot of people around, but they live on farms or whatever, stay on your freaking farm and stay in your home or whatever. Go out if you have to, you have to. I mean, you got to have food and you got to have medical care, but you don't have to be going out visiting just because you're bored. Find something to do, for crying out loud. That's the best thing you could do. But I know there'll be a lot of people upset over what I just said. Maybe not the older ones, but the younger ones. But the point is that's the difference between you looking smart and you looking like an idiot. So I thought I would add that to the video because it just seems like a problem. I mean, the other day I was reading about our grocery store. And this is how stupid we have become. There was a time when, if they were having a sale for, let's say, the older people, like myself now, but I'm talking 30 years ago. If they were having a sale for older people, you had to be older to get the sale price. Well, the other day I was reading where the store in town said that they have 2 days a week, Thursdays and Tuesdays, at 6 o'clock in the morning, they're going to allow people over 65 to go shopping. Okay, I guess they picked that time of the day because most older people tend to get up early, but it all depends on who you are. But anyway, then they said, of course we will not card anyone to see their age, and what stops younger people from going in there? I mean, we got these freaking people who are born a boy, they say they're a freaking girl, and we have to believe, okay, you're a freaking girl. And this is where the nonsense starts. Somebody has to be able to say, hey, you're not 65, out. It seems like we got nobody that's able to do that. See, I don't have a problem doing that. If I was working at Walmart and they said to me, between the hours of 6 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock in the morning, nobody over or under 65 is allowed in. Baby, you better have a little bit of gray hair, because if you're walking through that door and you don't, you ain't coming in. That's if I was working there. But I'm not working there, so I'm just saying, what is going on with people? You know, it's the same thing with the building of stuff in this country. When I was a kid, there were about 5 or 6 different manufacturing places on the street where we lived as a kid, okay, when I was a little kid. Now there's nothing. They're all apartment houses, and nothing's being made. So what happens here is we gave the people in China the ability to make freaking purses for us, and that's where we buy them now. And instead of having, and not just purses, I'm talking medicine and everything else. So now what we got is we have people in this country who don't know how to do a darn thing. I mean, they don't know that hammers hurt if you drop one on your freaking foot. So I don't know, it's just, it's amazing to me. I can't hardly believe it. Anyway, I better stop now before I go too far with this, because believe me, what I say on these videos is a fraction of what I'd like to say, and I just don't want to pass on all my information to people I may not understand. That's all. Alright guys, have a good one.